Hi everybody. This is just a quick bulletin to let you know what's up, other than fantastic transcendental bliss. Well, I wanted to say a few words, if I can get my mind to work. I want to say a few words about non-dual culture. You know, one of the things that was bothering me when I was a Buddhist monk in Sri Lanka was that even though the teaching of the Buddha is non-dual, based on emptiness, shunyata, the culture surrounding it is completely dualistic. And the thing about dualism is, you'll see it in every dualistic culture, which is almost every culture everywhere nowadays. People have a lot of desires. They make a lot of distinctions between myself and yourself and this and that and the other thing. And they keep desires. Because of that, they're always angry. It's like they're just waiting for a chance to fly off the handle, you know. They're tense. The mind is very tense. So non-dual culture is completely the opposite. In non-dual culture, there's no tension at all. And there's very little desire, only for the necessities, the basics of life. And so people aren't tense. You know, if something comes up, some obstacle or something, they're patient. They don't freak out. There's no road rage, you know. How to express it? Well, I think we see, especially in Christians and in monotheistic Vedic culture, like the Hare Krishnas, the strong dualism between their principles and their actions. They talk about love, but they're very angry people. And they talk about being free from desire, but they have all kinds of desires. And they are talking about self-realization, but they seem to never have time to actually retreat and do their self-realization process. So they don't attain. And because they don't attain, they can't let go of desire. And because of they're holding on, clinging like anything to individuality, they make strong distinctions between us and them, I and others, and so forth. Probably the epitome of this is in scientism, where in science, in order to create reproducible results that can't be falsified, they have to narrow and restrict the range of inquiry more and more and more. You know, there's a saying that a scientist knows more and more about less and less until he finally knows everything about nothing. And the result of that is scientists are completely unaware of the consequences of their discoveries. So they make all kinds of discoveries which have very bad consequences, both for them personally and for the society and people and so on. So a good example is cars. Everybody loves to be able to jump in their car and just run off here and there, right? But then we have to deal with pollution and oil spills and all kinds of nasty chemicals in the water supply, the food supply, and so on. This is causing birth defects, which are leading to reduction in the strength and intelligence of the genetic pool. So, in other words, the world is full of idiots. I mean, the world always had a bunch of idiots, but nothing like now. It's just out of control. So, it's very likely that civilization is going to collapse in the near future, or at least experience some tremendous crises because of this. Why? Because of knowing more and more about less and less until you know everything about nothing. Whereas the spiritualist, the transcendentalist, knows less and less about more and more until he finally knows nothing about everything. And the interesting thing about that is that non-dual consciousness is free from desire. We don't see a difference between I and others, between here and there, now and then. We don't maintain all of these dualistic conceptions. And so our burden is very light. Our minds aren't tense. They're relaxed. And so the natural ecstasy and love of consciousness can come out. See, that's the secret of non-dual culture. So it's very interesting. Even in other parts of India, such as North India or the big cities, you see a lot of dualism and you see a lot of tension and anxiety because of it. Whereas here I live in a very small village and everybody's cool, man. Everybody's mellow, you know. It's not, I mean, we don't have all the big city comforts and conveniences, but we don't have all the problems either. The air is clear and fresh. You can drink the water right out of the well, you know. It's not like we have to be on our guard every minute because of thieves or watch out on the road that you get run over, you know. If somebody's in front of you on the road, you just stop. You wait for them to get out of the way, like a cow or something, you know. That's monist culture. Non-dual, I should say. Non-dual culture. Monism means oneness, just like duality means two-ness. And the problem with monism, people think that the antithesis of dualism is monism. It's not. It's not. Because as long as you have one, you can also have 1 plus 1, or 2, or 3, or 4, or how, you know, a zillion, a Google, whatever you want. So the opposite of duality is not oneness, it's non-duality. Non-duality is an indefinite term. There's no specific number associated with it. Although we'll see in our next series on Om that, this is segueing into the next topic. On the next series dealing with Om, we'll see that Om is based on the concept of triples or triads, and that this is the ontological integrity of the Vedic knowledge, because as we know from the deep philosophical study of being, you have to have threeness, the subject, the object, and the relation, to have real being. Otherwise it's just an abstraction, and who knows if it's real or not? Probably not. So, we don't look at things in terms of duality, right versus left, up versus down, good versus bad, right versus wrong. We don't look at things like that. And because we don't, our minds are free from that kind of tension that threatens to snap any minute and explode into sudden violence, emotional, verbal, or even physical violence. So a non-dual culture is a peaceful culture. And since coming here from Sri Lanka, I feel so much more at home, like so much more accepted, you know. I'm an unusual person. I have very rare tastes and so on. But nobody seems to care, you know, as long as I'm not bothering them. And it's like, so what? You know, so there are many really cool people here from all over the world. And I'm enjoying it very much. So the next series, after Gāyatrī Mantra, is going to be a series of musical settings of these mantras. And especially after Gayatri, we're going to go into the Ṛbhu-gītā. Ṛbhu-gītā is an obscure work from South India. And it's originally based on one of the sections of the Shiva Rahasya. Shiva Rahasya is an epic. It's an enormous work. And we'll be taking the 6th section of that and going into it deeply. And what it is a discourse on non-duality from Shiva himself. So the discourse was given to Ṛbhu, his disciple, and so when Ṛbhu later on repeated it, it became known as the Ṛbhu-gītā, the Song of Ṛbhu. So we're going to be taking shlokas from that, making them into kirtans. Because each shloka is so perfect and full of meaning, and yet simple, easy Sanskrit. It's in Anushtup Matra, just like Bhagavad-gītā, and very easy to sing or make into kirtans, and then we'll go into the meaning of it and so forth. So I think you're going to really, I'm going to really enjoy it. So you better enjoy it too. It's really going to be a different slant, because we find so many people who are in the lineage of Rāmaṇa and are presenting the non-dual philosophy are way too serious, way too academic, way too scientific. We don't need that, man. Lighten up, you know? This is a beautiful, joyous, loving, playful kind of realization where all levels of consciousness, non-duality, so it could be unity, it could be two-ness, three-ness, 67-ness, you know? It could be anything. And it's all Brahman, so it's all beautiful and holy and pure. So I love this philosophy. We're going to be getting into it more and more. And cognizing the essential nature of reality. So, Harihi Om.